Wasn't there, and I thought one would have kept me from the rally, you know? Yeah, Franklin's birthday, ready? He'll never turn 4 again.
The rally, all right? So, let's start this off. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could all find an American...
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that Star Spangled Banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Little girl over here in the little pretty pants and the yellow top, she set up the largest gun rally in Oregon history right here, January 19th, 2013. Everybody says Tom did that. No, she just let me talk. It was Miranda Rodriguez, folks. We had 900 people say they were coming, and over 3,000 showed up according to OSP. They were lined up to that back fountain yonder, all the way out to that street, all the way out to that street. It was amazing. Amazing. Thank you, Miranda.
A little bit. As you said, my name is Kit Lange. I'm the Intel Officer for LFA 3% in Washington State. And 6 months ago, we were where you guys are now. And we've been there, and we're pushing back now. People like to call what we do rabble rousing. We call it standing up for liberty. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about a concept that hopefully, if you have the intestinal fortitude for it, you're going to get really familiar with: non-compliance. There was a lot of discussion before this rally about what the applicable laws were for carry and how people should conduct themselves in terms of what and how they carry. State laws and concealed permits and city ordinances were all brought up and debated like they were actually valid. In reality, many people were planning to come and protest an unconstitutional law while complying with a host of other laws just like it. A questioning attitude is essential to an informed mind, but I ask you this: why are we even asking ourselves questions about how to comply with any unjust gun law? There are patriots here from out of state today who are ready and willing to go to jail on your behalf. I'm one of them. And it's because they understand that attack on your rights is an attack on all of us. They refuse to comply with tyranny regardless of the state they're standing in. I'm proud to see that there are also patriots from right here in Oregon who are willing to stand regardless of what it costs them. And some of them, some of you, came and stood with us in Washington, and you didn't comply. That is the kind of patriot that we need. Strong, brave, resolute men and women who refuse to live as anything but free, no matter where they're standing. And I stand here before you today to call upon you to be that kind of patriot, not the kind that shows up to a non-compliance rally after pontificating about all the other laws you plan to comply with. We need the kind of patriot that looks the tyrant dead in the face and says, "I will not be ruled like a slave." Because you see, that's what you've become if you comply. It doesn't matter if you stand against one lie or one law, same thing, if you comply with so many others. Now, being uncompromising has a price. That's true. You may be hassled by the cops, as one guy talked to me very fearfully about. You might get arrested, like Anthony Bosworth did. You might stand trial on some trumped up charges, and you might actually go to jail. And fear about that is normal. We all have that fear. I have that fear. And we all feel it, and there's something incredibly sobering about looking up and realizing that your own government has sniper teams trained on your rally. And that's something that we from the Washington State folks can attest to. We've done that. We've been there. We've looked up there and seen the snipers. And there's no shame in being afraid of that. There's only shame if you allow your fear to dictate your actions instead of letting what is true and right form your compass. You can be afraid as long as you still stand and keep standing. Think about this. No matter what happens to you, someone already withstood that situation to purchase your freedom. Francis Lewis, one of the men who signed the Declaration of Independence, had his home razed by the British, who arrested his wife and kept her in prison without adequate clothes or food for weeks. John Hart, another signer, was forced to flee from British forces who were hunting him and survived in the mountains for several weeks in December, only able to come home after the victory at Trenton. Americans standing for freedom were captured, jailed, and tortured. They gave up everything. Nathan Hale died hanging from a rope. Time after time, we read about those who sacrificed so much so that we can stand here today, and all they ever asked of us is that we do not squander the beautiful legacy that they purchased for us with their own blood. And yet here we are, debating how many unconstitutional laws we're willing to comply with so our lives remain hassle-free. This is not how the sons and daughters of liberty conduct themselves. This is how subjects, broken and compliant, conduct themselves. And we, as people who call ourselves 3%ers and patriots, we do not come from men such as this. We were born of blood and gunpowder, not fear and indecision. We are descended from men who marched all night, barefoot and starving, through a blizzard and still won. We come from men who stood at the Alamo and knew their death was imminent and still loaded their rifle and said, well, come on then. The men who came before us puked their guts out in a landing craft and then stepped onto the beaches in Normandy. They slid in the blood and the guts of their own fallen brothers on the slopes of Mount Suribachi, and they fought like warriors for 5 weeks straight. This is the tribe we claim membership in. This is the history we come from, and their uncompromising willingness to stand is the future that we must claim and embrace if we want our children to live free. American soldiers stood in front of a camp's locked gate and saw the absolute depth of depravity that governments are capable of when citizens do not have the means or the will to resist. Make no mistake, that is the logical end of compliance. It is where cowardice will lead us, where our children will find themselves if we do not stand now. Freedom does not reside with the compliant. It resides in the hearts and minds of those with the boldness to stand, no matter what it costs, no matter what it requires. Liberty demands more than half-hearted fortitude, exercised only when it's safe. It demands that you say, I am here, send me. It demands that you say openly and proudly, I will not comply, not now, not ever. Every one of you has to make the choice within your own heart about what liberty truly means to you. As for me, I will stand. LFA will stand. And the true patriots of Oregon will stand. I can't promise you that it'll always be convenient or even that it'll always be safe. What I can promise you is that you won't stand alone. Thank you, and God bless the Founders Republic.